When preparing to use a miter saw, it's always very important to have a clean working environment. Make sure your work environment is free of debris as well as sawdust. One of the most important things to remember when using a miter saw is to not let your hands come within the cutting area. These are marked by these warning logos here. Since our first cut is a simple plunge cut, we will not be using the slide feature of this particular saw. Push the slide back to where this locking device lines up and slide it into place so it locks and will not slide. Next, place the workpiece on the saw with the cut in the cutting area, but keeping your hands out of the cutting area. Next, make a dry run by bringing down the saw towards the cut without touching the trigger to ensure that no appendages are in the way of the cut and the cut is lined up with your mark. Next, we're going to do a test run to ensure the machine is operating properly. Take your hand, pull the trigger for several seconds, and then release to make sure the machine is operating properly. For this piece, it is long enough for me to support the wood for the cut without having my hands in the cutting area. For particularly long boards, make sure the board is supported along its entire length. When cutting, it is important to let the blade reach full speed before the cut is made. Once the blade is brought down, it is also important to let the blade come to a complete stop before bringing it up. Now we are ready for the cut. Place your hand on the wood supporting it outside of the cutting area, reach up to the handle, pull the trigger. We will use the excess material from our previous cut for our second cut. Our second cut will be made at a 45-degree angle as shown. To adjust the saw to cut at a 45-degree angle, we lift up here on the lock, press down on this button with our thumb, and move over until the red indicator reads 45 degrees. It should lock into place and then lock down with this lever. Since our angled cut has a longer cut length, we will be using the slide function of the saw. So remove the lock from the slide. As you can see, our second workpiece is too short for us to hold it down with our hands without placing our hands within the cutting area. In order to get around this, we must line up our cut with the blade. Then use the clamps to clamp down the piece of wood. When using the slide function with the miter saw, bring it forward as needed, pull the trigger going down, then back through the wood, releasing the trigger, allowing it to come to a complete stop, and then allowing it up. Do a dry run of the angled cut without pulling the trigger. Now we are ready for the angled cut. As always, it is important to leave the saw as you found it and clean up the surrounding work area.